Good morning. I am Mike Thomas, media junkie, sports ball idiot, garden lover, dog dad, Turkish-Syrian lover of life. We are doing these videos in lieu of journaling. And those of you out there listening, thank you. So today I want to talk about, I want to have a conversation with Franco about metaphors for living a balanced life. And I chose talking about this because this has been pretty heavily on my mind for years as I grow into my adult manhood, whatever that means. Balanced life. So I'm finding that things have been a metaphor for balance throughout my life, and as I'm getting older, I'm finding out that those metaphors are becoming more literal and tangible and real. And I find that I'm preaching in my own head, but also to others, try not to live a life with too many highs nor too many lows, because it can really be disruptive to your mental and physical and spiritual and social health. So along these lines of saying don't live too many highs, too many lows, I don't mean or intend for this to come off as judgmental, but really with the best of intentions of saying that, we have to live life with highs, we have to live life with lows, that's what makes life worth living, but just to be aware of it and maybe put some checks on it now and then. With that said, mostly this applies in my own mind to addictive type personalities and addictive type activities, like your behaviors and actions. And by that I mean, hi Franco, it's all wound up a lot in entitlement. We live in this entitled society more and more. But not just entitlement, feeling like we just can have and do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it, regardless of any kind of consequences, because it feels good or because we're bored or for whatever reason. But also the more addictive kind of destructive behaviors and actions. And by that I mean the obvious ones like substance abuse of alcohol and drugs and coffee and food. But also more so in my, more prevalent even in my, I guess you call it my my group of being a gay man. This addictive behaviors of constantly needing to party, or constantly being hypersexual or hypersexualized even if you're not overtly hypersexual as like a sexual act, but everything's very sexualized. So that to me feels a lot of times like it's not real balanced often, and I see a lot of people that either are really unhappy or just so manic they're just chasing all the time, and I catch a lot of flack for the things I say, and especially the gay and LGBTQ community, because it can come across as judgmental. We want to live our lives the way that we live it, but sometimes it's best to keep my mouth shut. So when I talk about especially sexual addiction, this probably isn't just the queer, or I should say queer meaning LGBTQ community. It just means people in general can be really out of balance for a lot of people, whether it's excessive watching and use of porn, or excessive sexual activity with numerous people or different partners, or just a really heightened sexual activity. And the way I see it, it feels addictive and out of balance, because I hear more and more and I see people really unsatisfied with what's going on, and I often think, God, I just wish they could find a balance, like maybe just abstain for a little bit, abstain for a few weeks or even a few nights, and then maybe that experience will be even more satisfying for you with a little bit of balance. Or maybe abstain's the wrong word, maybe just finding a way to put some kind of mild restraints on what you're doing saying that, okay, I'm going to get to know someone first before I engage to this next level, or I'm not going to have an expectation that I'm having kind of sexual activity with someone every time I go to a big event or a big party. Like maybe there's other things I can be doing there that's just as satisfying. Anyway, I think you get it. So, I don't know what the answer is. For me, I've been much happier finding a balance. It's that old adage of, having something to look forward to rather than just expecting that something's going to happen all the time and it becomes old hat. If I eat the same thing every day, it gets boring. You heard the word eat. If I do the same thing every day, it gets boring. If I watch the same movie over and over, it gets boring. If I drink excessively all the time, it's not only, I don't think boring is the right word, but it can be destructive. I think the same thing holds true with a really sexualized life. And that doesn't always just include sexual acts. It also includes just sexualizing everything we say and do. And that's something that's, take note of. That's all I'm going to say. So along these same ideas of balanced life, I've noticed, not always, but I've noticed as I get older, I have a really hard time with anxiety and depression after major events. And I'm wondering how much this affects other people too. Like if you go on a vacation, that whole vacation stress and that vacation energy, or building expectations about a vacation. It's not everything it's meant to be, or it is everything you wanted it to be, but when you're done with that vacation, you're so down. Like that being out of balance during a vacation. Also, being out of balance following a major event, like you go to see a performance or you go to a big family event like a wedding or a party, there's always that feeling down afterwards. And that can, and some people, I believe, lead to avoidance behavior. Like I just really don't want to go do that because I know I'm going to feel down afterwards. And that's unfortunate because you want to experience things, but maybe finding a way to experience those things without such a heightened expectations about what it's going to be, just kind of enjoying the moment and living in balance. I like to leave stuff early. I feel like I'm having a great time. I don't need to stay at this till 3 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes it's midnight or even earlier. I'm like, I'm just gonna go home. I had a great time. I saw great people. I laughed. I had some good food or a nice drink, and then I ghost or I head out of there. I don't know what the balance is there, and I'm going to keep reiterating, like, this is not judging because everybody, live your life the way you do. So, or the way you need to. So, how do we find this balance? It's that old sort of living on extreme poles or yin and yang, doing one thing and then doing another on another extreme. Balance can be difficult to find and it can be boring. I like living at a level. I'm finding more and more living at a level somewhere in the midline is much better for me than doing too much or having too much. It made me think about this internet sort of program and movement called Yes Theory, which I love, by the way. But they always are chasing something extreme, and I always wonder when the episode's over, like, what happens now? I guess we chase the next high because they're jumping out of airplanes and they're traveling around the world and they're seeing great things, and all that's great. But I always wonder, not so much for the people running the program, but more so the I'll call them innocent bystanders that get pulled into these things or voluntarily do these things. What happens when it's over? You do have to go back to the reality of your life, and how do you justify how you're going to feel? I do this funny thing. I have this weird quirk. And I don't know when it started, but when I have something negative happen in my life, I require myself to go and buy myself something great that I really sometimes don't need or don't want. Maybe not. Mostly don't need. And it started, I believe, when I was getting speeding tickets and parking tickets when I first started driving. I got several moving violations for running through stop signs, and I drove the one way up a one-way street, and I was speeding. And I was like, oh, this is like $125, $150 ticket. I made this sort of strange justification in my mind that I would then have to go out within that week and buy something that was the same cost. Which, I know it's a little weird, but it balanced it in my head. I remember buying a very expensive pair of tennis shoes after I got a speeding ticket. And I couldn't afford it, but it made me feel great. So I'm applying that more so now as a more advancing into the adulthood, as if something negative happens, I do go out and try to do something positive to balance it. I did have a therapist friend tell me after a breakup several years ago. He said, I want to give you an assignment. I want you just to go out and buy something you'd never buy for yourself. It's sort of treating yourself. And I did it, and it worked. And now when I see some of those things I bought to balance out, the negativity of a breakup, it makes me kind of laugh. And it is some stuff I enjoy, and it has some really good memory on that object. So that's my finding balance. And the other things I do to find balance, which I would encourage, is simplicity. I have a lot of stuff, and I think by a lot of people's standards compared to people around the world, I live well. I'm not wealthy, but I live well, and I do feel guilty about it sometimes. But more than feeling guilty, I feel burdened by a lot of the stuff, and I'm more and more every year I'm sparsing things down. I'm so envious of people who live as minimalists, and I just can't find a way to do it, but I'm getting there. I've been selling off a lot of stuff that I don't use. I've been giving away stuff, and I'm really now trying to practice not bringing more stuff into my life, which has always been an addiction. I'm like, I'm feeling down. I'm going to go shopping. I'm going to get online and buy something. It makes me feel good, but I'm getting better at not bringing that stuff in. And then the stuff I do bring in, I want it to be really not only like quality, if I can afford it, but I want it to be something I truly need and use. I know it's hard to believe looking around here at my fancy weird wall and furniture and stuff, but I really just don't love the idea of a lot of kind of ornament or decoration. I want less and less and less and less. So I'm working on it. I'm really also in that balance, trying to opt to do things that are more low key, like with fewer people. I don't love going to bars. I do not love going to big party events. I get anxious, I get nervous, and I usually end up not having a good time, and I get real negative really quickly, and I'm not sure why, but I don't like it, so I'm not doing it. And I'd much rather if I go to a bar, it's funny, I'd rather go on like a Wednesday night when there's a smaller group of people there and you actually interact with people, or you play darts, or the bartender has time to just talk to you. I do not like a Friday or a Saturday night at a big crazy club, and I never have. When I lived in New York City, I did not like it, and I did not do it. I found the smaller things better, more fun, more balanced, and better for me. So I will do things with people, but you got to really be in a protective space with the people I go with. I do not like being abandoned at a bar. I do not like being yelled at and screamed at. I'm not big on being like touched or nudged into. So I don't know, maybe there's something else that's a characteristic about me that would explain all that, but I just don't think I'm the type of personality that does well with that. The other thing that balances me is this guy. Come here. You want to do another cookie? Come here. Oops. This guy balances me a lot. Franco. He keeps me on schedule. He gives me reason to every day get up and get moving, because he has needs that he can't take care of. But also he just makes me laugh every day. Every day we laugh, don't we? And we do funny things together. And he's just the sweetest thing in the world. So finally, this video is going on maybe a little bit too long, but blah, blah, blah. I'm making these videos not only as something that's cathartic for me as like journaling, but also because I'm trying to do this instead of watching TV. So I thought if I can sit down and do these videos, it's balancing out my TV watching, and it's good, it's working. So leave me some messages, tell me what you think. I hope you have a balanced day. This is Mikey Thomas, mega media junkie, health queer, gardener, dog lover, sports ball, imbecile, Turkish-Irish lover of life. Goodbye.